Jerry Marcinski es un psicoterapeuta licenciado retirado con más de 35 años de experiencia trabajando y estudiando los procesos de pensamiento de pacientes psicóticos y criminalmente dementes en algunas de las instituciones psiquiátricas más importantes de los Estados Unidos. Comenzó su carrera en el Hospital Estatal Central, en ese momento el hospital psiquiátrico más grande del planeta. En 2023 se convirtió en un practicante certificado de MACE. Fue allí donde percibió por primera vez contradicciones entre lo que se le había enseñado sobre la esquizofrenia y lo que estaba presenciando y aprendiendo de sus pacientes esquizofrénicos. Después de dejar el hospital estatal, Jerry pasó a trabajar en varios entornos de salud mental de primera línea, incluidas prisiones estatales, hospitales psiquiátricos, privados y del condado, centros de salud mental y salas de emergencia de hospitales. A lo largo de su carrera interrogó a decenas de pacientes esquizofrénicos que extraían información sobre sus voces que la psiquiatría consideraba alucinaciones indignas de investigación. Años de sondeo dieron como resultado el descubrimiento de que estas voces no solo tenían patrones negativos consistentemente repetibles y predeciblemente muy diferentes de todas las demás alucinaciones, sino que era posible mantener conversaciones coherentes con ellas aparte del paciente. Después de años de investigación, Jerry determinó que las voces no solo no eran alucinaciones sin sentido, como insistía la psiquiatría, sino que era la fuerza misma que impulsaba la esquizofrenia paranoide. Esto dio lugar a una serie de experimentos de prueba y error en busca de métodos para interrumpirlos. A medida que se fueron encontrando métodos cada vez más favorables, se llegó a una conclusión: si las voces podían ser silenciadas por cualquier medio durante un tiempo prolongado, todos los síntomas de la esquizofrenia paranoide desaparecían y el paciente volvía a la normalidad. Esto inició una búsqueda de los métodos más efectivos para interrumpir estas voces, que no dependieran de los costosos y tóxicos productos farmacéuticos de la psiquiatría, que no curaban nada, simplemente suprimían temporalmente los síntomas psicóticos. Con el tiempo se encontraron soluciones que resultaron en la cura completa para muchos casos. Un fenómeno que el sistema insiste en que no existe, en que no es real. Jerry se retiró como evaluador psiquiátrico en el año 2015 después de trabajar en crisis psiquiátricas en las salas de emergencia de los hospitales durante los últimos 10 años de su carrera. Fue solo después de jubilarse que se sintió libre de hablar sobre estos hallazgos y desafiar el fracaso estrepitoso de nuestro costoso carrusel alimentado por productos farmacéuticos de un sistema de salud mental. Pero ahora veamos qué dice sobre sus investigaciones.
Hallucinations, and nobody's questioning that. Nobody's asking these people, what are the voices saying? What are they? So I started asking them. And it was like, it took a while to learn how to talk to them because they don't want to tell you anything about the voices, because if they complain too much about the voices, the psychiatrists would double their medications and knock them out. They'd be walking around like living zombies. So it's like these medications, for the most part, do not get rid of the voices. The voices are energetic entities. So it's like getting a magnet and pouring Thorazine on the magnetic field and saying, oh yeah, we're treating the symptoms of magnetism. It doesn't touch the voices. What it is, they're major tranquilizers. They calm the person down because the voices get them upset. The voices are nasty. They're very nasty. They're negative entities. They try to pull a person down to a very low vibration. And they're also parasites, because after they attack the person, their energy levels drop to nothing. Now, they're not aware of that unless you bring it up to them. They just think they feel bad. But there's a one-to-one correspondence between being attacked by these voices and their energy levels dropping to zero.
Yeah.
And I thought that was due to how nasty the voices were. If you had voices screaming at you, telling you you're ugly, you're stupid, you're no good, and nobody likes you, people are plotting against you, the cops are going to come and drag you away, they're going to lock you up. I mean, all this stuff, the most awful stuff you can imagine is what these things say. The schizophrenics were just as curious as I was about what they were. The schizophrenics I was working with. So, the first thing that I had to overcome was, these voices aren't word salad. They're not just babbling nonsense. I mean, they're coherent. They're evil. They say bad things. They drag people down. and once I got some of the schizophrenics to trust me, I saw that they were running patterns. And just like you said, there were some that came to me, and I remember one guy said, when I repeat the 23rd Psalm, the voices react like they're thrown onto a hot frying pan. That's how much they hate it. You know?
Yeah.
And when one of them would tell me something like that, I wouldn't just take his word for it. The state hospital was full of schizophrenics. And so I would ask all the rest of them on my caseload, hey, if you say the 23rd Psalm, what happens? You know, and it verified it. They hated the 23rd Psalm. Why would a hallucination hate the 23rd Psalm? Why would the hallucination hate preachers? Why would they hate Bibles? Why would they hate them? Hallucination hate these people going to church.
Yeah.
You know, a hallucination wouldn't. You know, but yet this whole hospital with hundreds of staff were all brainwashed by the educational system into believing that these voices were hallucinations based on nothing other than them saying so.
Yeah.
You know, so psychiatry and Big Pharma gets up and they just declare the voices are hallucinations because we said so. Well, do you have any, you have any, yeah, they look like hallucinations because they don't make sense, but you haven't studied them either. If you studied them, they'd make sense. You know, you haven't done a single research or anything on them. You didn't research them at all. You just declared they were hallucinations, and now you're teaching that to the public. It's bullcrap. It's total bullcrap. And they're doing it right now. They're doing it today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these things aren't hallucinations. They're very dangerous, and they're energetic entities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so mental illness is an energetic illness. We're spiritual. We're spiritual entities. We're affected by spiritual forces. You know, these bodies are just like cars that you drive around, but you take the spirit out of the body for any length of time, and the body dies and rots. You're not your body.
Right.
You know, and these guys, psychology and psychiatry, refuse to look at anything spiritual. So they're not going to get to the answers because you have to have a spiritual bent to see it. You know?
Yeah.
Emanuel Swedenborg, some 300 years ago, he had access to heaven and hell, and he would come back and he'd write about it. And where we first discovered these things had a one-to-one correlation between evil spirits was a clinical psychologist named Wilson Van Dusen in California wrote a book called The Presence of Other Worlds. And he wrote about what Swedenborg was saying about these evil spirits. And he worked in a state hospital also. He saw that what Swedenborg was saying about the evil spirits in hell matched exactly what the voices that his patients were telling him they were saying. So there was a one-to-one correspondence. So I started reading Swedenborg also and saw the same thing. They matched up exactly. What my patients were telling me about the voices matched exactly what Emanuel Swedenborg was saying that evil spirits said to him in the interviews he had with them. So,
yeah, you're right. I first read Emanuel Swedenborg about 10 years.
They don't deal with that. See, and this Mace energy system that I was talking to you about does.
Yeah.
You know, it's so you know when I started asking the patients at the state hospital about the voices, what they were saying, how they behaved, what they were doing. When one of them reported that to a psychiatrist, I ended up in that guy's office on the red carpet being told, you will not ask these patients what the voices are saying. The voices are hallucinations, and when you're asking questions about them, you're reinforcing the hallucinations and you're making them worse. I don't want to hear you asking patients about their voices ever again. That happened twice. So they don't want to even know. They think they know. They don't know. They don't know crap.
Yeah.
So I had to be very careful about asking the patients about their voices. Where I really could get away with it was, several years later when I got the job in the psychology department of the state prison. And the state prison is full of psychotics. It's full of schizophrenics. They can't survive on the streets. They closed down all the state hospitals in the U.S. And then they started defunding the mental health centers. So, where's these people going to go? They can't hold jobs. So they're out there homeless. They're walking on the streets. They're committing crimes because they can't function. So they get thrown into prison. They get more and more violent, and they get thrown into prison. So I had an unending population there too. And what I did is formed a group and made a deal with them. I said, if you tell me what the voices are telling you in real time, I'll do everything I can to help you out. you know. So I always had a group of prisoners who were willing to tell me what the voices were saying. That's where I started seeing that they were running more patterns in the hospital. So what I saw at the state hospital is they were consistently negative. You know, what held them on such a consistently negative path? They were always negative. They were consistently negative. They were repeatedly negative. They didn't ever diverge and go random and sometimes positive, sometimes negative, sometimes mediocre. No, they were always negative. What held them on that path? And why were they always negative? What force held them on a consistently negative path where they didn't just go random? Something did that. I didn't know what it was, but something was holding them on that path. And the